We have lots of comments asking me, Coach, what are your plans for the future? Do you plan to go pro? Do you plan to stick around amateur? What do you want to do? Well, today we're going to talk about exactly what my plans are for the future and why I think they're the best fit for me and our YouTube channel. First things first, let's talk about where I came from. So, for anybody who's watched our recap video that runs you through a bunch of my old fights and gives you kind of the broad narrative of what brought us to competing again and brought us to the YouTube channel, you guys know that I learned all of my boxing lessons the hard way, which means that I definitely took some damage on the front end of my career. It takes a lot of ugly fights to make fights look this pretty. I've broken my hands 13 times. I've broken my nose 9 times. I've needed reconstructive surgery on my face twice. I've broken my skull multiple times. I've broken my jaw. I've herniated discs in my neck many times over. Separated my shoulder twice. Torn my rotator cuff. I have a long laundry list of injuries that I've been through. Now, none of those injuries have been enough to stop me. I love this sport, and short of being killed or made a vegetable, I don't think there's anything that's going to stop me from pressing forward. I have an absolutely voracious obsession, a need to learn as much as I can about this sport, and I feel, reading The Arc of Boxing, one of my favorite books, that the only thing that's actually fighting is fighting. So what does that mean for my future? It means that to continue my boxing career, I need to keep competing. Sparring in the gym and traveling and sparring is not going to be enough for me to wash out these bad habits and these misunderstandings about what the sport is. I found that out in my 7 years away, that I got worse at the sport and my understanding of the sport was perverted because all I was doing was sparring. The only thing that's truly boxing, the only thing that's truly fighting is fighting. Now, given my long laundry list of injuries, the fact that I'm in my mid-30s, the fact that I'm not in a metropolitan area or managed well, there are a million different reasons why pro is not going to be the right fit for me. It seems like smaller gloves and longer fights are just going to leave me more likely to continue to get injured. My mom always used to say, mind of a warrior, body of a poet. I'm like a 5'2" guy who wants to play in the NBA. I might love basketball and I might know a lot about basketball, but I'm not built for this. But that doesn't stop me from loving it. I love it immensely, and I want to get as many looks, I want to get as much experience as I can. I want to truly learn what the real face, what boxing actually is, not just the little facets it reveals fight by fight. I want to be able to put it all together. You folks have heard me talk about the pedigree. The pedigree is something my old coach and mentor Bob Miller used to talk about a lot, and he said that if you have 100 amateur fights, then you've seen every look, every shape, every style. You've been exposed to everything that you're going to run into in the sport. That's called the pedigree, and that's what I'm hunting for. Win, lose, or draw, I want to get those 100 fights. That means the world to me. I'm extremely motivated to make that happen. We've trained through shoulder impingements and herniated discs in our back and torn meniscus and broken hands and all sorts of stuff, even just getting these first 12, 13 fights on the book this first year back. So I want to get those fights above all else. I want to learn, I want to be exposed to that. But once I have the pedigree, I do have a long-term goal. Now, USA Boxing puts you out to pasture when you're 41 or 42. They don't let you fight the young guys anymore. They force you to go to what's called the Masters Division. There are lots of big national and international Masters tournaments, and I would like to be very successful there. My long-term goal that I think keeps me in the sport as long as possible is going to take care of my body the best and is going to allow me to learn as much as I can about the sport while continuing to coach and run my gym and team, is to focus on being the greatest Masters Division fighter this country's ever seen. That's my long-term goal. I want to get my 100 fights. I want to learn as much as I can. I want to respect boxing as a martial art and iron out as many of the details as I can and refine my style. And then I want to storm all of these Masters tournaments. I want to be doing this longer than Bernard Hopkins. I want to be doing this longer than Archie Moore. I want to be fighting as long as my body will allow me, and it seems that the best path forward is to focus on getting these 100 fights, and then when I'm in my 40s, focus on the Masters division and win as many of those national tournaments as I can. That's my long-term goal. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. That's what keeps me in this sport as long as I can. It'll keep me taking care of my body and keep me learning as much as I can, so that as I continue to coach, when I get way too old to be able to get in there and mix it up with my team, I'll have an answer to every single one of their questions. I'm obsessed with this sport, and I want to understand more about it than anybody has. And the last 100 years, as far as I'm concerned, set your sights high. I want to learn everything I can, and I want to pass it along to you folks. So join me for that journey, follow along, pay attention on our road to 100, and then know that the real career for coach doesn't even start until we go to that Masters division, when I've learned this all, and then we can play test it all together. Hopefully you guys can learn too, you guys can grow with me. We'll hold on to that forever white belt mentality, and we'll all keep improving so that we can all have success when we fight for as long as we fight.